No amount of mechanical offered sacrifices could atone for her serious sins. Chastisement alone remained. Chastisement alone remained. God would have to strip her of the rich ornaments bestowed by her false lovers. Thus bring her back to the true lover. A humiliated Israel would seek Yahweh. The 11th chapter of Hosea is the one that is the one of the summits of the Old Testament theology. God's love for his people has never been expressed more tenderly. Hosea began the tradition of describing the relationship between Yahweh and Israel in the terms of marriage. This appears later in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. Both St. John, St. Paul express the same imagery. The union between Christ and his church as being that of a marriage. Of a marriage. Let us read a little bit into Hosea's chapter 1. It says, verse 2, in the beginning of the Lord speaking to Hosea, the Lord said to Hosea, go take a harlot wife and harlot's children, for the land gives itself to harlotry. Turn away from the Lord. Turning away from the Lord. So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diabilam, and she conceived and bore him a son. Then the Lord said to him, give him the name Jezreel, for in a little while I will punish the house of Jehu for the bloodshed at Jezreel. Now remember, Jehu, you got to go back to Chronicles and other parts of the story, right? Into Kings and Chronicles. And then you will see about the story of Jehu, right? And Jehu wakes up and the fire of God, right? He's there in that time of Josiah, and Josiah was with the fire of God, and so there was Jehu. And Jehu, that name means Yahweh is salvation. Yahweh is Savior. So he wakes up and he's going to go and kill a bunch of people. He did it through war, through bloodshed. And that wasn't what God has ever intended for any of us. He doesn't like war or bloodshed. He wishes, it is God's will, that we would love each other. And so he's going to punish them for their wrongdoing. And bring to an end the kingdom of the house of Israel. On that day I will break down the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel. When she conceived and bore a daughter, the Lord said to him, give her the name Lo-Ramah. I no longer feel pity for the house of Israel. Rather, I adore them utterly. Yet, for the house of Judah, I feel pity. I will save them by the Lord, their God. But I will not save them by war, by sword or bow, by horse or horsemen. Today, we're really praying and wish that everybody in the whole world would engage in that battle there in ISIS, in their silly plan to take over the world by the decapitation of the people the people of the world. And it's very silly, and we wish God would just devour them, but he says, no, I will not. Not by force, not by sword, not by chariot, not by army. Not by army, but I'm going to do it by his spirit. By spirit, by will, and the might in that will. And it is God's will for us to love one another. Sooner or later, they will get sick of destroying Because they'll find out the only ones getting destroyed are their family members, their sons, their daughters, their mothers, their fathers. Right? So Lomain, it means I will have Lo Rama, she is not pitted. The pitied. Right? And this is withheld from Israel. Same thing. It's weird because why, you don't want to pit her. You don't want to pull out. Because he has, you got to understand, God does love us. And although he doesn't pity our pains and the sufferings we bring to our own lives through our disobedience to his word, he doesn't pity that. He doesn't sit back and say, poor you. You should have listened to me. No, it's more like, yeah, I'm dad. I put you in that spot so that you'd come back to dad. And so when you come back, it's not like I have pity for you. It's I have a plan for your life. And it's not to destroy you. It's not to hurt you. But to give you love and mercy. You ever ate guacamole? Right? Guacamole, avocados. If you made a bowl of guacamole and you take out the pit, unpitted, right? And you pull out the pit, you pull out the seed, and then you go to eat it and you put your little salt and pepper on it, put the bowl there on the table, and pretty soon the bowl starts to turn brown and ugly. Who wants to eat that? A fresh one's awesome, but if it's been sitting around, and some people want to squirt lime or lemon or something to counteract the oxidation of the fruit or vegetable, whatever it is. But if you knew, you could put the seed, the seed back into that bowl and just leave the seed there in the bowl, and then that seed will end up preserving the whole bowl and it won't turn brown. Little trick if you wanted to know. Same way with Jesus. If I put my seed in the whole bowl, then that seed will preserve the whole bowl. Right? I'm going to tell you a little something. And about this story. How do we make this flesh and blood? What does this look like in our lives? And what is it that God's wanting to show? What do I want you to know more than anything? I want you to know more than anything the love of God. And the love that God has for you, and not just you, but for this world. A world full of adultery. Spiritual adultery. A world full of idol worshipers. And how God still, like the woman she has all this cup full of abominations in there. If this word is in us, yeah, we're full of sin, and inside of us is full of abominations, yet that's the bride of Christ. That's the bride of Christ. And we see it here in my life. I met this girl, ended up marrying her. And wonderful girl. In the beginning, it was weird. I knew I shouldn't really have been, and really, I really shouldn't have married her. If I wanted to listen to God and the angel says don't marry, I shouldn't. But I knew it was wrong in my heart. But I met her young, when we were in high school, when we were kids. And she had this thing, she would always wanted to tell us, she was going to die young one day. I'm going to die young. So she says, I'm going to live my life to the absolute fullest. I never want to get married to any of these things. She never wanted to marry me. It was tough and to try and love someone who really never loved you back. And that was like our life. I remember when, she must have been 14. I was probably about 17. I was a little older than her. She comes over to our house, brings like a Ouija board to our house. A young kid, you know, and Oz game or whatever. And I'll tell you, we burned that thing because it scared the tar out of us. Burn it. Burn it. And through that, she always thought and felt like she was cursed, you know, kind of. Because one time playing with that Ouija board, they told her that she was going to die young. And she believed it. She died at 34. So, she wanted to live life to the fullest. She was also bipolar. She also had mental issues. Those mental issues, we always thought she was the oddball. You know, she was cool, but she was pretty much the oddball. But about 19, about the year after our son was born, something began to change in her. And it was strange. It was strange. She never did breastfeed our son. And there it never created a motherly son bond. It was weird. I mean, a detached bond, right? And sometimes today we're too lazy to be a mother and take care of our children. Now we just go get, you know, some Similac or whatever it is, baby formula. But that's not always good. It's not always good. You say, where is this story going? I'm just telling you a little background. So, we're going through life. 4 times through our 10-year marriage, and that was, you know, 10 years of living together on our own. Marriage. But it was longer than that because we were kids and dated and all those things and hung down and growed in a friendship. But one of the things that always was in my heart was that fact she was going to die at an early age. And she believed it. And she told that story over and over all through her life. And so, like, while we were married, 4 times she tries to commit suicide. 4 times. And I was very Christian, very loving, very wanting God. 4 times. Right? And when you love somebody who doesn't want to love you back, it's tough. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? God says, and I lived and couldn't get over the fact that we must live by this law of Moses. If I'm a Christian, I turned my life to Jesus Christ at 7 years old, and I was baptized at 12. I believe this stuff. Forever or never when you marry. This is God's rules. And I believed God. Even if she didn't love me back. I'm going to love you. Suicides? You know, and would always. She became pretty abusive. And one of the things that began to become why I believe she was abusive towards me is because I wanted her to live by this law. I wanted her, with the law of Moses, you see sin. And when you see sin, you say, I don't want you to be a part of it. So what I'm going to do is take it upon myself to fix you. Fix you. Get you right standing. I want to wash you up, clean you up, and get you right. Well, I got her all cleaned up, but the inside. You can't stick your hand in your heart and wash that part. Only God can do that. And the part that I couldn't accept as being a Christian, she was atheist most of her life. Later in life in the story, she was saved. She died, and God did it right. I have the patience and endurance to get my job done, says the Lord. So we didn't know the end of the story, but I had to live it out. I had to live it out. I had to walk through that wilderness. And then when I was out there in the wilderness, I found a fire. I had you know that's what a fire that brings into your life. When your wife's trying to kill herself. When you got to take her to the emergency room. You know, 20-some times. When we were earlier in our life, we partied a lot. We liked all drugs. Meth, coke, whatever. Acid, marijuana, whatever you want. We did it. I didn't ever do no heroin or nothing like that, but thank God. Thank God. When we had their kid, wanted to be a dad. Let's stop partying and be a dad and a mom. And we'll build a new life. I don't want to stop partying, she says. Because all the joy in my life comes from being high. You know, when you're bipolar, you're manic. You know, when you're in a manic state, you want everything. You want to conquer the world. And when you're in a depressed manic state, you can want to conquer the world today and be the most awesome person, and tomorrow want to kill yourself. That fast. Up and down. That fast. And a person that's sane who's just level, and you're in that, it becomes a fire. And in that fire, you begin to get, burned. And hurt. And violated. I could never measure up to what she wanted me to be. I couldn't do it. And I tried. And I tried. And the harder I tried, the smaller I became. Because I'm weak. We are weak. The fight is against us and the members of our sin. We want to sin. We want it. We want to lash back out in anger and hate. When we receive anger and hate, we want to give it right back. You can't fix what's not broken. God made each and every one of us to be exactly the way we are. Can we accept what God made? I couldn't. I couldn't accept her to be God's daughter. I could be his son, but she couldn't be his daughter until she began to act right. Divorce her, leave her. No, I can't. Because I love her. And my love for her is greater than the abuse I'm getting. You can't love somebody who doesn't love you back. Right? You can't. You can't force somebody to love you. And you can't force your love onto them. But if you love them, you can't not love them. You can't just stop. It's impossible. You can't stop because that love was real. Cheated on me many times. Other men come back, tell you about it, and then say, do it like that guy did me. Because the way you do it sucks. And completely always going to attack every part of your manhood, no matter how it came flowed out. For men, love making is where all their identity comes from, especially if their master is lost. I ain't getting no love making. It's because I did something wrong, and we take away the relationship and make it all about one thing. She was like a nympho. You ever been with a nympho? It's crazy if you're not one. You'll say, yeah, that's wonderful. No, it's not, because when you can't provide, they go get another. What are you going to do? Just walk away? You can walk away. Why didn't you walk away? How could you put up with that 10 years? Because God said, you love her with all your heart. Finally, the last time she tried to commit suicide, she got in a car accident. She said, I tried to hit this car dead straight on, but the stupid car swerved out of my way and hit the back end and tumbled over or whatever, destroyed the car. And she got out of the car, walks out, and goes to the bar. Didn't even see if the other people were all right. Didn't even care. I'm pissed. I'm still alive. Went to the bar. So she's gonna go to rehab. Overcome alcoholism. Overcome the drug problems. Problem is, she walked out the door and never came home. Just left me and my son. Come back 5 years later, and I didn't know where she was. I would have took her back that day. I would have. I'd have took her back that day. I remember that day. I hadn't seen her in 5 years. Come back. We talked, we chatted. And she whipped out the needle. And began to shoot herself up. He ain't a doctor. You don't know what you're doing. That's gonna kill you. And you're gonna make me the person who loves you with all of their heart watch you do that. And I watched it. I was terrified. The Spirit of the living God flowed upon me. I was terrified. I thought she might die right there, right in front of me. Is that what you came back to do? To me?